Let's dive into one of the most intense, high-stakes games in all of business, raising billions of dollars. And to figure out how it's done, we're going to look at the playbook written by the leadership team at Gojek, because, well, they've pretty much mastered it.
So really, think about it. How do you convince some of the smartest, most skeptical people on the planet to write you a check with 9 zeros on it? It's the ultimate question, right?
And just to be super clear, we're not talking about a few million here and there. We're talking about raising over $1 billion in a single go. This is a whole different universe.
Now, according to the team that actually did this, if you're thinking about this as just a series of business meetings, you're thinking about it all wrong. It's way more like a high-stakes poker tournament. It's all about strategy, psychology, and knowing the exact right moment to make your move.
So what's the buy-in for a game like this? Before you can even dream about your strategy, what are the absolute must-have, non-negotiables you need just to get a seat at the table?
Well, according to the Gojek team, the basics are everything. It all starts with having a product that people actually want and use. But honestly, that's just table stakes. You also need a really powerful mission, your why, and you got to wrap that in a compelling story about the future. A story that investors can see and believe in. But here's the kicker. All of that has to be backed up by cold, hard numbers. You need all four. Without them, you're not even in the game.
Okay, so you have all those pieces. But out of all of them, there is one that truly separates the $1 million raises from the $1 billion ones. And that's your story. This is your ace in the hole.
Just look at this shift. It's huge. In the very beginning, the joke inside Gojek was, hey, let's just build a simple ride-hailing app and sell it. Which, is a fine story, but it's not a $1 billion story. The game completely changed when the story became this. We are a full-stack platform that moves humans, things, and money. Suddenly, the market wasn't just taxis. It was, well, everything. That's what changed the conversation.
And this quote from CEO Nadeem Mukarim nails it. The biggest checks don't go to companies that are just stealing a piece of an existing pie. No way. They go to companies that are baking a whole new pie, creating entirely new markets. For Gojek, it meant building out food delivery and logistics at a scale that just didn't exist before. That kind of vision, that's what gets you to $1 billion.
Okay, so you've got your buy-in, you've perfected your story, you're finally sitting at the table. Now what? How do you actually play your hand? This is where that poker analogy gets really interesting. Gojek's president, Andres Solistio, breaks it down into 3 types of players. First up, you've got the shark. This is the company that raises a ridiculous amount of money, a huge war chest, basically to scare everyone else away from the table. Then you've got the disciplined player. This one plays by the book, focuses on building a great product, cares about profits, and raises less money. But he says the winning strategy, the real secret sauce, is being the hybrid player. The one who is, and I love this phrase, inconsistently consistent. They know exactly when to play like a shark and go all in, and when to be disciplined and fold. But here's the twist. Winning that massive pot of cash, it isn't the end of the game. Actually, it introduces this hidden, very real danger, what they call the winner's curse.
So picture it. You did it. The money is wired. It's in the bank. You have this huge stack of chips, way more than any of your competitors. You feel unstoppable. You've won, right?
Well, the Gojek team gives a huge warning here. That moment of victory, it can actually be a curse. It creates this moral hazard inside your own company. When you have that much cash, it's just so easy to lose discipline, to make sloppy mistakes, and to burn through money, all because you know you have this massive safety net.
So how do you fight off that curse? Well, you bring in who their CFO, Thomas Husted, calls the adult in the room. Now, his job isn't to stop the company from taking big swings. That's how you grow. Instead, his job, to bring it back to the poker table, is to be the guy who's constantly calculating the probability odds on every single bet before the players decide to push all their chips into the middle.
And all of this brings us to the final and maybe most important phase, because winning one huge hand doesn't mean you've won the whole tournament. Now, you have to master the long game. We're talking survival and real sustainability.
So the moment that $1 billion check clears, the real work starts. The leadership team describes this relentless cycle. First, you have to strategically decide where all that money goes, which bets you're going to make. Then you have to measure and monitor everything with brutal honesty. Is it working? What's the return? And finally, and this is crucial, you have to adjust and optimize. You have to be able to dynamically shift money away from things that aren't working and double down hard on the things that are.
And this really leads to the ultimate insight of the whole thing. For a company like Gojek, which was founded with this deep social mission to help the little guys, becoming profitable isn't selling out, it's the opposite. As Nadim Makarim puts it, becoming financially self-sustaining is the only thing that earns you the right to keep that mission going forever, without having to ask anyone else for money.
So when you think about the high-stakes games you're playing, in your own work, in your own life, it all boils down to this one question. Are you going to be the shark, the disciplined player, or the hybrid who knows exactly when to be both? Because your answer might just decide if you get to stay in the game.